This is Caracas, a city where density meets a dangerous geological reality. In Venezuela, 80% of the population lives directly within highly active earthquake zones. That risk became a reality when twin earthquakes of 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude hit the capital region, sending massive shockwaves through the city's foundation. The resulting destruction was an engineering failure. These residential high-rises were constructed without the structural standards required to withstand seismic activity. When the ground moved, the buildings simply folded. The human toll of these collapses is difficult to comprehend. Over 1,000 people are confirmed dead, and 5,000 more are missing, trapped somewhere beneath the rubble of these failed structures. Local authorities are completely overwhelmed. Clearing these sites and finding survivors requires heavy-lift logistics and specialized rescue expertise that Venezuela cannot provide alone. This scale of disaster demands immediate, high-capacity international intervention. While help usually comes from neighbors, Venezuela's most significant relief effort is arriving from the other side of the planet. India and Venezuela sit on opposite ends of the globe, separated by the width of the Pacific Ocean. To bridge that gap, the Indian Air Force deployed two of its largest heavy-lift transport aircraft, carrying 35 tons of specialized relief supplies across the hemisphere. The payload includes a 41-member elite rescue team and the specialized hardware needed to establish a fully functional mobile field hospital on the ground in Caracas. This operation requires millions of dollars and a massive logistical reach for a nation that shares very little strategic overlap with India. It raises a significant question. Why is New Delhi projecting this level of power to the other side of the world? The mission is called Operation Amistad, Spanish for friendship. It represents the very latest step in a decade-long strategy to position India as a global first responder. This strategy began with regional support. India led the response to the Nepal earthquake in 2015, established field hospitals in Myanmar, and provided critical infrastructure repair for Sri Lanka following a devastating cyclone. The reach then expanded into active conflict zones. During civil wars in Yemen and Sudan, Indian forces extracted their own citizens while also rescuing hundreds of foreign nationals caught in the crossfire. In 2024, the radius crossed a geopolitical line with Operation Dost. India sent massive aid to Turkey following a major earthquake, despite Turkey's ongoing role as a primary military supplier to Pakistan. Over the last 10 years, India has methodically repurposed its military logistics network into a highly specialized apparatus for global humanitarian relief. This approach contrasts sharply with the traditional powers. While India sent heavy-lift aircraft and rescue teams, the United States responded with a small team and the temporary easing of economic sanctions to facilitate aid. When discussing the crisis, former President Donald Trump's comments centered almost entirely on economics, largely ignoring the 5,000 missing civilians. His focus remained on the millions of barrels of oil being extracted, suggesting the country was prospering based on those transactions. It highlights a specific Western focus on resource extraction, rather than immediate human stabilization. Where traditional superpowers often view smaller nations through a lens of transactional benefit, India is attempting to fill the void by projecting influence through direct, unconditional aid. However, there is a flaw in this strategy. While India is performing the logistical duties of a superpower, it is lagging in the critical arena of public relations. There is a local philosophy of doing good and then forgetting it. But on the modern geopolitical stage, silence is a liability. If a nation does not define its own successes, it remains vulnerable to propaganda from adversaries, who can easily reshape the narrative to suit their own interests. True geopolitical power requires both the physical capacity to act and the communication apparatus to ensure the world recognizes the impact of those actions. This international mission also serves as a warning for India. The tragedy in Venezuela was caused by a failure to follow high-rise architectural standards in a known risk zone. We face similar risks. As India's cities grow, the enforcement of infrastructure standards often fails to keep pace with the speed of construction. If a 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck a major Indian metropolis, we have to ask if our buildings are truly resilient, or if we would face the same structural collapse seen in Caracas. Building true resilience requires a commitment to structural integrity, both in a nation's infrastructure and in an individual's professional foundation. Just as Venezuela's towers failed because they didn't meet modern standards, a career built on outdated skills risks collapse in an economy increasingly driven by data and automation. To ensure your own professional foundation is built on modern, high-level standards, Career 247 is offering a 30% discount on their IBM-powered data analytics and generative AI courses. By enrolling through the link in the comments and using code PD10, you can begin building the technical expertise needed to remain resilient in a changing job market. Enforce your standards today.